I'm David Wood, curator of the Concord Museum, and we're here in the Lisa H. Foote History Learning Center, which is providing a temporary home for John Buckman's clock. So I wanted to take the opportunity to take a closer look at it. This clock belonged to John Buckman, who kept the Tavern in Lexington, and it was in John Buckman's Tavern that some of the Lexington militia waited in the early hours of the morning of April 19th, knowing that the British regulars were on the way, and their companion at that moment was this clock ticking the seconds and striking the hours. All we actually have is the movement and dial. The original case was lost long ago, but for this installation, we were hoping to have an appropriate case made for it, and happily, a good friend of the museum, Bill Huyett, made a perfectly appropriate case. The dial is engraved John Buckman, 1769, and Nathaniel Mulligan, Lexington. So Nathaniel Mulligan was Buckman's neighbor in Lexington, produced this clock for him in 1769. And to get an appropriate case for it, Bill looked very closely at another example, nearly identical movement and dial, and it was in a case much like this. Bill also looked closely at a couple of other examples of Mulligan's cases, just to get an idea of how a caseworker is going about his affairs in the 18th century. So this is really an outstanding recreation of a 1760s New England case. And this is a full tilt case. They really don't get much more elaborate than this. It's in cherry, as is the case of the original. And it's just got molding after molding. It climbs up with sort of architectural event after architectural event. It's really an extraordinary case, based pretty closely on London examples. This side light through which you can see the movement that's a sort of London thing to do with a case like this. These tops are called sarcophagus tops, currently from an imagined resemblance to sarcophagus, but this is about as good as it gets for a clock case in the 18th century. Clocks were quite expensive. It's a reliable marker of wealth in any household. If you find an 8-day clock, you'll find other things like silver tankards and looking glasses and things like that. So it really is and always was a splendid presentation. And now with this case added to it, we're in good shape for the reinstallation this fall.